Doug Gladstone joins us on the Sports Grill Hotline. He is the author of a book titled A Bitter Cup of Coffee, How Major League Baseball, and the Players Association threw 874 retirees a curve. That was published on April 14th, and Doug rejoins us here on Big Board Sports. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Roger.
For those of you who do not know, the Baseball Commissioner's Office and Major League Baseball Players Association announced plans to make an annual payment to former major leaguers who didn't qualify for the sports pension benefits, and players who retired from 1947 to 1979 with less than 4 years of service are not covered. And Doug, thanks to your efforts and the book that you wrote, it looks like you've made a little bit of a dent here. Tell us about it.
Well, I've made a little bit of a dent, and it's very gratifying knowing that in part my work helped illuminate this topic and bringing the issue into the public consciousness. But I'll be very honest with you, Roger, while it's a step in the right direction, and certainly these men are now a little more well off than they were prior to April 21st, it's not great. It's not great, and I'll tell you why. These payments are up to $10,000 per year for the next 2 years, and that's contingent upon someone's service credit. So if you're David Clyde, the former flamethrower for the Texas Rangers, who only fell 37 games shy, you're going to get $9,800 a year. If you're Jimmy Qualls, the famous Chicago Cub who broke up Tom Seaver's near miss of a perfect game, you're lucky if you're getting $1,500 a year. Now, I know you're a huge Pittsburgh Pirate fan, so I'll give you someone who I know you know, Dave Augustine,
Sure.
the fellow who hit the ball that bounded off the top of the fence back into Cleon Jones' glove. Jones whirls, throws a perfect strike to Buddy Harrelson, who throws to Ron Hodges during a crucial 5-game series in September 1973, and they nail Richie Zisk at the plate. And that's big. That's Dave Augustine's big moment in baseball. He only had a year-and-a-half service credit. He probably played more in the Charleston Charlies in West Virginia than he did in the majors, but you don't get service credit for your minor league time. So Dave Augustine is probably only going to get, like I said, $1,500 a year. That's number one. Number two, if Dave Augustine, and we don't wish anyone any ill health, but if Dave Augustine tomorrow passes on, his wonderful wife doesn't see one plug nickel. The payment plan that was announced by Major League Baseball does not allow the man to pass the payment on to his designated beneficiary or to his loved one or children or wife or spouse, what have you. And finally, it doesn't give anyone any health insurance.
Right.
And
no
I know
health,
there
yeah.
are men out there, may have invoked his name when I appeared last September, Bill Burback. Bill Burback, a talented pitcher during the Mike Kekich, Fritz Peterson years of the New York Yankees, Bills, and Tennessee, right now is cardiopulmonary obstructive disorder, and he's got no health insurance. Bill McNulty, who had a cup of coffee with the Kansas City Athletics, no health insurance. So, it is a step in the right direction, and I'm happy Major League Baseball did something, but in my estimation, it's only a partial victory. They can do more. They should do more.
And I hope that they do. What will happen, Doug, after the 2 years?
They can revisit it. In fact, they are under no legal obligation, as they'll be the first ones to tell you, to pay these men anything. But the commissioner, of course, has said, well, socially it's the right thing to do, and I agree with him. These men found themselves in this situation way back in 1980 when the vesting requirements were changed. So why did it take MLB 31 years to do the right thing? When 2013 rolls around, these men may find themselves on the outside looking in again.
Now, you also talked to you localized this story too, right? I read Pete Doherty's column article from a few weeks ago, and you talked to some local former Major League Baseball players who are affected by this.
Sure, and I'm sure your listeners and your listening audience are going to know instantly who I'm talking about. 1953, the only man to ever appear in a Little League World Series game and also appear 11 years later in a Major League Baseball World Series game. He's running, or he was working for a beer distributorship, out in Seattle. He's affected, and look at that. Pardon me. I'm so sorry. I've just completely forgotten the man's name. It'll probably come to me as soon as I hang up. I
know Billy Harrell's one that you
Billy
wrote about.
Harrell is one.
I know that Gary Holly is one. How about Rudy Meoli?
Don Pepper, who of course is Dottie Pepper, is the
correct.
They're all.
Is there a gentleman, Doug, by the name of Rudy Meoli?
Yeah, Rudy Meoli from Troy, New York.
Yeah.
Rudy Meoli from Troy, New York. And he actually was shortstop for Nolan Ryan's first no-hitter with the California Angels, of course now called the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim.
And until
pardon me, I've just remembered it. Jim Barbieri.
But until you wrote this book and until this got done, these guys were getting nothing.
They legally are not entitled to anything. That is correct. Major League Baseball, in my opinion, is throwing them a bone. Remember, it's not $10,000 a man for 2 years. It's $10,000 up to $10,000 for the next 2 years. So at most, Major League Baseball is on the hook for conservatively, actually not conservatively, they're on the hook for $6 million. $12 million over 2 years. That is a drop in the bucket, Roger.
Oh, yeah.
Given the economy of today's game, which is, of course, a $7.3 billion industry. The 25th man riding the pines is making $425,000. So Major League Baseball can puff up their chest and say, look, we took care of these guys, but they can do a little bit more. This is an employee benefits issue, and retroactively, they can be restored, these men, into pension coverage if Major League Baseball and the Players Union deem that to be so. The collective bargaining agreement expires this December, and I'm going to be paying great interest, Roger, great interest to see whether or not Michael Weiner, who is, of course, the executive director of the Players Union, and Commissioner Seelig and his executive vice president for labor relations, Rob Manfred, literally take that other step, restore these men back into pension coverage so they can have annuities, so that their spouses and loved ones can receive designated beneficiaries payments after they pass on, and so they can have health insurance.
Doug, I'm looking at Pete Doherty's article here. Jim Barbieri, a Schenectady native, played 39 games for the 1966 National League champion Dodgers, said the whole fight has been about getting treated fairly. And the quote here is, anybody wished they could have had more. He said from his home in Spokane, Washington, they weren't expecting anything. It was a long fight. Another quote, I know a teammate of mine who was a couple of weeks short of getting his pension. Now he'll be getting close to $10,000. He's in seventh heaven. He woke up this morning and he had nothing. Now all of a sudden, possibly a $10,000 check coming. He's happy. So you have touched a lot of people here.
Yeah, and again, I don't want to poo-poo this at all. I mean, who in this economy would turn up their nose at possibly $10,000 a year?
Right.
It is a good thing what Major League Baseball did. All I'm suggesting,
more,
because that they retroactively can be restored back into pension coverage, they do a little bit more.
Tell us about the farewell book party you're having tomorrow night.
Yeah, I've been on the road a long time,
Friday.
Roger. My little one, when I first started this project, she was 9 months old. Now she's 2 years and 9 months old. So we're bringing the book tour to a conclusion this Friday at Maurice's on Pearl Street. Michael Schiaschetti, the owner, is kind enough to host this party. It's from 3 to 5. Mr. Harrell will be there, as will my good friend Steve Grilly, who, of course, is the father of Jason Grilly. Steve had a cup of coffee with the Detroit Tigers and the Toronto Blue Jays. They're going to be there. They're going to sing the praises of the book, and closing out this book tour on a high note, because it's been 15 months out of my life and I want to move on.
Obviously, though, this is kind of cool how you wrote this. You're passionate about it. It came out really well, and you know what? Bud Selig paid attention.
Yeah, I've been told through back channels that both Major League Baseball and the union, let me just put it this way. I'm not expecting a Christmas or Hanukkah card from either of them, certainly not a baseball card anytime soon.
Did you ever speak, Doug, directly with Selig?
No, I spoke exclusively with Rob Manfred, Vice President of Labor Relations for the league. I also spoke to Pat Courtney, their Director of Public Relations.
All right. Well, listen, this is a great job by you, Doug, and congratulations on everything. Enjoy the farewell party.
Thank you, Roger. I appreciate it immensely, and thanks again, as always, for giving me the time to come on the show.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you, Roger.
Take care.